keep us and strengthen us. It is always good, as is stated in the book of Judges. And these are the things that we're doing to bring about the circumstances that will be favorable for us. In the book of Judges, it talks about that Israel will go far away. And in their journey of being so far away, they would rehearse the righteous acts of their God. That they would do the things that they did not do. And this is Judges chapter 5, verse 11. They that are delivered from the noise of the archers in the place of drawing waters, there shall they rehearse the righteous acts of Yahweh. And the righteous acts of Yahweh is the commandments where Yahweh said to the children of Israel, when we came out of Egypt, he makes mention to us certain things that would be favorable so that we, as the children of the captivity that would be brought out of Egypt, and we weren't captives in Egypt, but we're captives in this Egypt. But what he would say to us when we would come out of Egypt, that we would be to obey his voice. And he told us, he said, Israel, obey my voice. Listen to me what I'm going to tell you, so it might be well with you. Yahweh God rehearsed these things in our ears, so that we might become a strong, not a religion, but a strong nation of people. It's very important that we realize that Yahweh redeemed us and gave to us a law, that if by us rehearsing this law and listening to our God, we acquire a position that is within his authority. That's why he says in Exodus chapter 19, in the 3rd month, when the sons of Israel were come forth out of the land of Egypt, the same day came they into the wilderness of Sinai. For they were departed from Rephidim, and were come to the desert of Sinai, and had pitched in the wilderness. And there Israel camped before the mount. And Moses went up unto Alahiah, and Yahweh came unto him out of the mount, saying, Thus shalt thou say to the house of Jacob, and tell my son Israel, Ye have seen what I have did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on the eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself. Now therefore, if ye will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. So he tells Israel that they must be obedient to the voice. And Yahweh God, his voice in telling us, and I'm in Exodus, that was Exodus chapter 19, I'm in Exodus chapter 12, and that was Exodus 19 from 1 to 5, Exodus 12, verse 1. And Yahweh spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. Speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, In the 10th day of this month they shall take to them every man a lamb according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for a house. And if the household be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next unto his house take it according to the number of the souls. Every man according to his eating shall make your account for the lamb. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. Ye shall take it out of the sheep or from the goats. And ye shall keep it up until the 14th day of the same month. And the whole congregation and the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening. And they shall take of the blood and strike it on the two side posts and on the upper doorposts of the house wherein they shall eat it. And they shall eat the flesh in the night, roast with fire, and unleavened bread, and with bitter herbs, that they shall eat it. Eat not of it raw, neither soden, meaning you don't put water on it, you don't baste it, nor soden at all with water, but roast it with fire, his head with his legs, and with the putins thereof. In other words, they didn't take out the insides. They roast the whole thing. It says, and ye shall let nothing of it remain until the morning. And that which remains of it until the morning, ye shall burn with fire. So what they did was, in the morning, when the morning came, they just dropped the whole thing in there. This was a ritual. This was they were doing something that would bring about something. So in these days, we rehearse these things in a strange land. Far away from our land, we do these things in remembrance of our forefathers, that we might return back. So when we keep the Shabbat, and it says in the book of Proverbs, and I always like to remind, because people say, well, what am I doing? Your action in your house is deterring more circumstances of chaos than you could imagine. And the circumstances by which would be against you becomes in your favor, because it says in Proverbs 28 verse 4. See, because Yahweh God is a God that gave the children laws by which all of the earth is under. The sun has a law by which the earth is in certain places, and therefore the heat of the sun allows certain things to happen in these different positions. These are laws that govern how things are done on the earth. Even a farmer is governed by certain laws of planting and of reaping and sowing. Even anyone that deals closely with the land is governed by laws that once he disannul these laws, it brings other things into place. Therefore, when we know that when we keep the commandments of Yahweh, it tells us in Proverbs 28 verse 4. Will somebody read that?
They that forsake the laws praise the wicked, but such as keep the law contend with them.
See, that's right. Yahweh God tells you, he says, they that forsake the Torah praises the wicked. But it also says, but such as keep the Torah contends with them. We are in contention with that which is wrong. And it goes down to 5. What does it say?
Evil men understand not judgment, but they that seek the Elohim understand all things.
Yeah, because Yahweh God is all things. He's all things. So when you seek him, you understand all things, because he's all things. But he says here, he says, evil men understand not judgment. They don't understand judgment. What judgment do they understand? They execute that which is wrong in the earth. They bring about the chaos. Therefore, we who are here to put things back in order, we rehearse the righteous acts. that gives us the power to put it back in order. So we're going to have this prayer, and then we will resume our lesson for the Shabbat. Yahweh God, we thank you and pray that we are found worthy to behold wondrous things in thy Torah. And we thank you, Yahweh God, for your mercies, for the blessing, for all the things that you do for us. Yahweh God, we thank you and pray for our health and the health of all Israel. We thank you, Yahweh God, and we pray that the spirit of obedience be upon us. We pray, Yahweh God, to love you with all our mind, with all our body, with all our might. Yahweh Allah Hayama.
Allah Hayama.
Yahweh 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 Allah Hayama.
Yahweh
Yahweh Allah Hayama. Shabbatah, Atnika, Makwadawashah, Yahweh, Makabada. May Yahweh bless us and keep us. May the Spirit of our God be ever with us. Amen. So, we would like to go back and we will read that we had ceremonies that we did, because these ceremonies that we participated in helped us and encouraged us to bring about the very best that we could bring about within ourselves. Yahweh God gave us things to do, and we would like to start to read let's go to Leviticus 15. But before we go to Leviticus 15, I like to read the purification of having a baby, and that's on chapter 12. Chapter 12 of Leviticus. And what does it say here?
And the Elohim spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, If a woman have conceived seed, and born a man child, then she shall be unclean 7 days, according to the days of the separation of her infirmity shall be unclean. And in the 8th day the flesh of his foreskin shall be circumcised, and she shall then continue in the blood of her purifying 3 days. She shall touch no hallowed thing, nor come into the sanctuary until the days of her purifying be fulfilled. But if she bear a male child, then she shall be unclean 2 weeks, as in her separation, and she shall continue in the blood of her purifying 66 days. And when the days of her purifying are fulfilled, for a son or for a daughter, she shall bring a lamb of the first year for a burnt offering, and a young pigeon or a turtle dove for a sin offering unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation unto the priest, who shall offer it before the Elohim, and make an atonement for her, and she shall be atonement for her. And she shall be cleansed from the issue of her blood. This is the law of her that hath borne a male or a female. And if she be not able to bring a lamb, then she shall bring 2 turtles or 2 young pigeons, the one for the burnt offering and the other for a sin offering. And the priest shall make an atonement for her, and she shall be clean.
So Yahweh God recognized that the woman should be put away and have rest. This was her rest. I mean, she was not to be put in a laborious situation. But as it says, and Yahweh spake unto Moses, speak unto my son Israel, saying, if a woman has conceived seed and bore a man child, then she shall be unclean 7 days, according to the days of her separation. For her infirmities shall she be unclean. And on the 8th day, the flesh of his foreskin shall be circumcised. So all of these were rituals by which that had been put in place by Yahweh God, so that we would remember, always remembering, always coming into harmony with doing that which is acceptable and pleasing to Yahweh God. And if it was for a male child or a female child, it was an extension of 66. A score is 20, so it was like 66 days. She was to be what? Relieved of anything other than making preparations for the well-being of herself and that child. Yahweh God definitely, it allowed the woman's body to heal properly. It was definitely showing that Yahweh God put things in place so that all of us would be monitored to having the proper position of physical health, mental health, giving the woman the absolute resting time so that she could cultivate and be separated from things so that she doesn't have to be burdened. And this is the beautiful thing of the Torah. Always giving proper attention to bringing about the proper results, giving us the proper way of thinking. That's why I say lean not on thy own understanding. I'd like to go to Leviticus chapter 15, starting at verse 1. And Yahweh God, it says, and Yahweh spake unto Moses and to Aaron, saying, speak unto my son Israel, and say unto them, when any man has a running issue out of his flesh, because of his issue he is unclean. And this shall be his uncleanness in his issue, whether his flesh run with his issue or his flesh be stopped from his issue, it is his uncleanness. Every bed whereunto he lieth that has the issue is unclean, and everything whereon he sitteth shall be unclean. And whatsoever touches his bed shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the evening. And you can see that these laws were laws by which you had to be responsible. If you had an issue, you stayed away, so that because the person had to wash his clothes and bathe himself and be unclean until the evening. And he that sitteth on anything whereon he sat that has the issue shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water and be unclean until the evening. And he that touches the flesh of him that has the issue shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water and be unclean until the evening. And we can see when we ride the trains, when we are intermingle with other people that do not adhere to these commandments, then we know that we are totally being unclean, not to our own will. You understand? It's because there are those that don't understand that they have to, and this society does not correspond to these laws, to where in our society it was something that everybody knew. So we knew not to be in a situation to infect or to contaminate other people having these things happening to us. Is this like when you go into a place that they say is kosher and you see women at the counter or serving them, one of them women have their issue on, and therefore it's not clean. So it's sometimes when I go and I laugh because they say this is kosher. It's not kosher because some month that woman gonna have her issue, and therefore, but this is not a society that we live in. Even in the most kosher place, you're supposed to have men, not women. Or if you have women, you have to let them address that they're having their issues so that they don't touch the things that is clean, so that they don't unclean, make it or contaminate
it. Well, even if you have a man, if he has sex that Friday night, then he
no. What he has to do.
It's the same thing.
No. But let me explain this to you. Well, you're interrupting something to let me explain. These are laws that if you introduce these laws into America now, you get the same out thing. Oh, what are you doing? It's not that. It's how things are properly done. Women don't understand. God gave men and women to be in a place. Women are to be totally respected. The reason why you have an uproar in America because women are not respected. Neither are the men respected with the women. So you get these things. I mean, you could not. These laws would not work in America. They wouldn't work because you got the lesbians, you got all these other women that want to be men, and you got sisters. The moment you start putting down these laws, you have a revolt. But these laws, I'm only saying, is that it's not to belittle the women, but it is to show what is happening according to the law that Yahweh God has given us. And I'm saying that if you in a store and there be a man, and you're absolutely correct, that if a man has had a certain encounter with a woman, he is unclean until that evening. But a woman goes through a particular cycle by which, that's why women could never be priests. You understand what I'm saying? It wasn't just one priest, it was many priests. And when the priests were unclean, they did not service in certain positions because it was unclean according. And therefore there's certain words that is used that women become very sensitive about. But I'm sure that it is not to remove her from the delicate position of her being who she is. Yahweh is not like that. You understand? So we all have a place in this movement on the earth. And therefore, Yahweh God is breathing sensitive men and sensitive women. And therefore, the woman can't be greater than the man, and the man can't be greater than the woman, but they both have positions that they play that one can't play. A man cannot have children. Neither can a woman give herself a child. But that's her position. His position is to give, her position is to receive. And therefore, in receiving, she fulfills her duty because her body, a man can't have a baby. A woman can't give another woman a baby. I don't care how much she try. It just ain't gonna happen. The body fluids that is one to another is not according to the creation that Yahweh gave to the woman or to the man. The man and woman is a blessing to have children. Two women together is a curse. Two men together is a curse. Women or men having sex with animals, that's an abomination before anybody. They could never do that. So I'm saying to you is that these are positions that we hold that merit the respect of God Himself, who has given these things for us so that we might do these things and that we may carry out the circumstances that is pleasing to the Spirit of Yah. So yes, you're absolutely correct. If a man has sex with a woman and go in, he's unclean until that evening. And that is certainly true. But we want to be able to teach and not bring about that one is better than the other. One can't do without the other. This is how Yahweh made it. And when we understand that, we relax in our position to carry out what is necessary for the best. And it says, and if he that has the issue spit upon him that is clean, then he shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water and be unclean until the evening. And what saddle soever he rideth upon that has the issue shall be unclean. And whosoever touches anything that was under him shall be unclean until the evening. And he that beareth any of those things shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water and be unclean until the evening. And whomsoever he touches that has the issue and has not rinsed his hands in water, he shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water and be unclean until the evening. So if I touch someone and they have the issue and I go and wash my hands, I don't have to be unclean until the evening. But the other person would have to let me know. And the vessel of earth that he touches which has the issue shall be broken, and every vessel of wood shall be rinsed in water. So that means a clay vessel will be broken, but a wooden vessel will be just washed out. And when he that has an issue is cleaned of his issue, then he shall number to himself 7 days for his cleaning, and wash his clothes, and bathe his flesh in running water, and shall be clean. And on the 8th day he shall take to him 2 turtle doves, or 2 young pigeons, and come before Yahweh unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and give them unto the priest. And the priest shall offer them, the one for a sin offering, and the other for a burnt offering. And the priest shall make an atonement for him before Yahweh for his issue. And if a man's seed of corpulation, meaning sex, go out from him, then he shall wash all his flesh in water and be unclean until the evening. And every garment and every skin whereon is the seed of corpulation shall he wash with water and be unclean until the evening. So that towels, you have to clean those. You just don't throw them away. You have to clean them and you fold them up and leave them until the evening. The woman also with whom man shall lie with seed of corpulation, they shall both bathe themselves in water and be unclean until the evening. And if a woman has an issue, and her issue in her blood be, and her flesh be blood, she shall be put apart 7 days, and whosoever touches her shall be unclean until the evening. And everything that she lied upon in her separation shall be unclean. Everything also that she sitteth upon shall be unclean. And this is, we live in tight quarters. And what it said, thou shalt what? Rehearse the righteous act. So you make do. You got one bathroom many times in homes. And therefore, there's certain things that Yahweh understand, but he understands that being that we know it, we make the preparations for the best we can to bring about. And Yahweh will do the rest. And whosoever touches her bed shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water and be unclean until the evening. And whosoever touches anything that she setteth upon shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water and be unclean until the evening. So what happened is that in our society, the woman left the house. She had a place of leisure. She would go and she had her freedom to relax. She didn't stay in the house. She left. She left the kids, and she went and enjoyed her separation, and she became renewed and revised and become revitalized. What?
Revival.
Yeah. And therefore she could come back and participate in her family. But the structure of our nation was very, how you might say, it was It complemented everybody in their role. The woman was never the slave. Her role was her role to play, and therefore she was respected in that role. You know, she wasn't made to be the servant. She was the master of her own destiny that Yahweh God peeled out for her so that she could have the time to grow as an individual. And therefore, yes, the men had other wives, but they all was deeply respected, but it was in a society that respected and give. You couldn't do that now. It wouldn't work because they haven't been trained, they haven't been conditioned. They don't know the real value of having more than one wife. They don't understand that. It's a value.